All right. Welcome to the exchange. I am your host, KDGRIER.
Co-host DeMar Greer.
And
other co-host Isaiah.
We're working on this intro. We're going to get it down. Okay, we're going to get it down one day. Thank you for joining us once again. We are our topic of conversation, as you probably have seen from the video clips or from social media, from us letting you know what it's going to be about. We're going to talk a little bit about colorism today, and colorism specifically in the Black community. We know that colorism plagues multiple cultures around the world, but specifically we want to talk about the Black community in the United States of America and our experiences with it. All right. So we want you to make sure that you chime in, you comment, you ask questions, you share your experience as well. We'll make sure to highlight some of your comments or questions and address them as they come across the page. Make sure that you share this with your friends and your circle of people. If you like the exchange, make sure that you comment, you like, you subscribe, as well as share. All right, let's get into this show, y'all.
All right. So let's start with the first question. First question I want to know is where did colorism, or what do you even think colorism came from? Where do you think that stemmed from? And I want to ask you guys, where do you guys think that stemmed from? Because we kind of got an answer over here.
I think a lot of people would say that it stemmed from slavery in the United States, but I think it went back even farther than that, to our ancestors in Africa being separated by their color, or I think it's something that's always honestly been there. I mean, it's a noticeable difference. So I can't imagine that there was ever a time where, comments, slick or not, weren't made about each other.
Okay. All right. What about you, Zay?
Really, I agree. I don't think I can pinpoint an exact start really of where colorism started, because it is obvious. I mean, one is light skin, one is dark skin. I mean, overall, and that's just in one race. I can't pinpoint it all. And say it started at this point in time. I feel like it was something that was ongoing, even if it wasn't on the surface or super obvious. It was still something that may have been deep down in people.
Right. Just differences overall, like humanity, it looks like will find a way to pick up differences and use that either against or to someone's
divisive tool or something.
Yeah. In looking up this this topic or studying this topic, or just over time, we know that that colorism is also, or a boost to colorism is also a divestiture of slavery, in that we were separated to these people work in the house, these people work in the field. When we were enslaved, Black, brown, melanated, African people, Hebrew people, whatever you subscribe to, when we were enslaved, we were separated by color, and predominantly the lighter shades. Although there's light people in Africa, I mean, where we come in all melanated tones, we come in, and this is without any help from any European blood or DNA. But primarily, you would have the children or the sisters and siblings of the slave owner that is a direct product of the previous slave owner. You would have them being the ones in the house. People think that to be lighter work, even though it's not lighter work. The field slave at least was able to lay his head down or her head down at night, but the house slave was always at work 24/7, so, and then you were closer to the slave owner when he felt like he was ready to rape somebody. You were actually closer. It didn't matter if you were child, sister, or whomever you were. It was just, you were a closer target. Mm-hmm. So I feel that there was more gas lit in that instance. We know we've heard about the Willie Lynch. Have you guys heard about the Willie Lynch letter? So the Willie Lynch, a little bit, yeah. So it's been told to be not necessarily true, or a factual letter or document, but clearly the spirit of those letters were definitely in place in the separating for color and separating for hair and separating for features and separating. And we've taken all of that separation into our homes, into our families, into our communities, and we pitted that. We've used that to pit one against each other.
Exactly.
So the old against the young, and the light skin against the dark skin, and nowadays we kind of hear team light skin, team dark skin. That was a big thing, maybe a year or two. Well, that's been a big thing for a while, right? But team light skin, team dark skin. So, but yeah, I agree. Like, I totally agree. I know that we can't really pinpoint, like you guys had said. That's actually, we can't pinpoint, but I do know that a lot of it has stemmed from slavery, right?
Mm-hmm.
From slavery. And you know how we have like muscle memory when you go to the gym, and sometimes you can remember what you lifted there. You know what I mean? Like I lifted heavy weight, so I can get back in there and do the same thing. We actually have mental memory as well. So we continually to perpetuate like this Willie Lynch syndrome throughout our years, right? It's really just been a divisive tool that has been used to kind of separate us when we're really all on the same playing field. Right.
It's true.
Yeah.
A slave was a slave, dark or light. It didn't matter, right?
Exactly. And just like in today's age, if something was to happen, just because you're light skinned doesn't mean that, oh, well, it's not going to happen to you either. Doesn't mean you're any more protected. No, you would still have the same repercussions if you're brown, black, whatever you are. But if you're within that nationality, you're going to have the same repercussions.
Because, you see a lot of, it's always either been like the one drop rule. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Like, as long as you have one drop of black in it, you're black. But on the other hand, we're dividing by shade, and it's just like, okay, which is it? Because you can't have both. Yeah. It's either one drop, we're all black, or we're gonna divide by each shade. Like, what is it? What are we gonna do? And even though it was I feel like it was exacerbated by slavery, we still as a community took it on and continued it. It is something that we took on, that we held on to, and chose to allow it to divide us centuries, years later.
Yeah. Exactly. And this is probably a topic for later, but I just want to throw it out there. As the Black community, that division is something that's not just in our color. It's stemmed off into so many other things. That's why nowadays it's so hard for us to truly come together. Don't want to get off topic. That could be a topic for a different week, but I just want to point that out.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is the thing too. So even like when we watch some of like the movies that we see on TV from Roots, or any of the slave movies that they put on TV, the media will always portray, right, the light-skinned house Negro to be the sneaky, divisive one. What was that movie we just watched? The last one we watched with. Anyhow, they always will portray the light-skinned brother is always sneaky and always in cahoots with the master. You know what I'm saying? And so I can even see that and hear that in the language that we speak even nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, the light-skinned folks, they just, they always sneak. You know what I'm saying? We still take that language and we apply it to our relationships like right now, our interpersonal relationships like right now.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, honestly, because we can't determine a person's character based on their skin color. And to all of us, and for all of us, to white people, we're dark skinned. I mean, if Italian people are dark skinned because their skin tone is olive, how much more so are we? And so we see we see it in our workplace, where we may see people get promotions over a person. We see it in relationships where we feel like one person is more exotic, or this person is more beautiful because they're this shade or that shade. And that's okay. I'm not knocking your preference. But when you start excluding people, especially if they look like you, that's a problem. That's a problem, right? Do you guys remember that study? I don't know if you guys seen it, about the children who were asked about the different dolls, the white doll versus the black doll, or the lighter doll versus the darker doll.
Yes.
Right.
What's her name? Professor Janie or something like that.
It's a pretty famous study, and essentially, almost all the kids, even the black kids, even the darker kids, were like, we don't want the doll, the dark doll. We don't want the black doll. We don't want the one that looks like us. And I refreshed my memory of it. I watched it earlier, and there was a little girl that was like, I don't like this doll, and I don't know why, and she started rubbing her skin. She was like, I don't know why. I just think it's brown, and like something's wrong with brown, and I don't know what it is, but I don't want the brown doll. And I just was like, oh my gosh, this baby thinks something's wrong with her skin because she was brown.
Yeah, even in that study, so we went over this like in my psych class a few times. The little girls, they were saying like the brown dolls or the black dolls, they equate that to evil and ugly, right? And that's been something that has been perpetuated again through, since slavery, right? Like it's no good. It's, you definitely don't want, white is right and black is whack. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like that's always been the message that we've seen, like whether it be on TV, through media. We see it like in music videos now, you know what I'm saying? We see it in Hollywood. We see it all over the place. You want to give them some experiences? Because I remember.
Let's go. Let's talk about
remember, growing up in the 80s and the late 70s, you know what I'm saying, as a dark-skinned brother, all the women, like, I was not in style. Let me just say like that, right? I was pro wings, okay? I was pro wings on a floor of Jordans. Nobody was picking your boy. You feel me? Like it was like not a thing to be with dark skin, and all the ladies, they wanted light skinned brothers with curly hair or good hair, and you would hear them say things like, I want my baby to have good hair, and I want my baby to be light skinned, and my daughter to have edges and all that. You know what I'm saying?
Said nothing about edges in the 80s.
I don't know. Everybody wants edges. But really though, that had always been like the whole language, like, yo, I don't want dark. Dark is not good. And I remember like me and my wife was talking about how certain things come in phases when Passenger 57 came out. You guys might be too young for this, but this was Blade, Wesley Snipes. When he hit the scene, man, it was cool. Your boy was back. Okay, I was back. You know what I'm saying? Because they seen a dark person. It was a fad.
Nino Brown.
And Nino Brown. It was like, okay, dark-skinned people can be attractive. You know what I'm saying? We lasted for a little bit, then we fell off again.
Well, I'll be sure, and those guys or whatnot. But it goes with women too, right? I mean, black women were kind of okay seasonal, and then Halle Berry came on the scene, and then everybody wanted a mixed child, or everybody wanted. They were like, "What is this? We've never seen anybody that looks like Halle Berry." And it's like, I got cousins in them. Like, what are you talking about? So then everybody wanted to be light skinned, or even more so, not even light skin, but mixed. Then Kimora Lee came on the scene. Everybody want to look like Kimora Lee. Mo, I want you to speak to your experience, because you are visibly the lightest person on this show. Possibly. And so let's speak a little bit to your experiences as being a light skin. Oh, go ahead, Zay.
I just want to bounce back from that Marvel point. It really goes back to the education of back in the day. I mean, when you look at how we are portrayed, or how black is portrayed, period, everything's negative. It has a negative connotation. So, I mean, we could take it all the way back to slavery, but more importantly, let's take it back to the education. When you think about it, what's everything that's bad? Blacklisted, blackballed. Everything that has to do with the word, or has the word black in it, has a negative connotation. Anything that's positive. What color is it? It's usually white, or something that's lighter.
Jesus.
The lie of
Yeah.
Right.
A white t-shirt.
I get that. Yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. And that's part of it. It keeps the perpetuation of Black being bad and not something that's desired.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mo?
But tell us, Mo, like you are fair skinned, right? And this is the thing. So I know that as a dark skinned brother, you know what I'm saying, we always say, y'all ain't got no struggles. We the one with the problems. You ain't got no problems. You got all this privilege. Light skinned it, you got privilege. So we had this conversation a little while ago. Tell me about your experience and your struggle in the Black community as a light skinned young lady.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, not to be all like, woe is me is all, but like we all, that's the thing, like each one of us has our own internal struggle. We all have things. I'll never understand what it's like to be darker skinned, but I understand the struggle that I went through, not only as being lighter skinned, as being someone who was always approached about being mixed or pressed about being mixed. I mean, I remember so many times, like I would come home and I would ask my mom, like, people keep telling me I'm mixed with something. I don't know. And, and that also stems from not having, my biological father in the picture. My stepdad is so having both my mom and my stepdad being dark skinned, it was never, it wasn't like a thought to me. And my grandma is dark skinned. So like, it wasn't like like, where did I come from thing. I didn't get that until other people started pushing that on me after they would see us out together. It wouldn't make sense to them. They wouldn't compute. However, we have seen so many times where two dark parents have made a light-skinned child. It happens. It's like no one knows how genetics work. It's amazing. But, right.
Baby.
Or concerned about all of these people, and we don't know how genetics work. But it's hard. Like it was an identity crisis sort of thing at a young age. It's like, okay, well, I'm not mixed. I don't have the struggle of mixed kids. I have two Black parents, but I came out lighter, so I don't fit in with the white kids because I don't have a white parent. I don't have anything towards their culture, them at all. But, with the Black kids, I was never fully accepted because I was light skinned. I always, I had this privilege and, I could do this and this and that. But in all actuality, I was still being excluded. I was still being
oppressed.
I was still getting, I went to schools with majority white people up until like 6th grade. I had never seen anyone darker than my mom. I was only with white kids. And so in that sense, I was the darkest person they knew. I was the only person connected to African-American culture that they knew. Meanwhile, I barely knew it myself. So like, you grow up confused because I grew up always loving dark-skinned women. I always found them so beautiful because I was the only one. Right. And so they were always the epitome of strength. I was only surrounded by strong, independent, beautiful Black women. So when I got into like middle school and high school, and I was introduced to the fact that there was colorism even between us, I was confused. I was like, I'm one of you. Like, I finally met you. I'm one of you. Accept me. Accept me. And then it was just like, you're light skinned, you talk too white, I'm a pass. And so it's just like, you don't find that home. You don't find that connection with your community. So it's just, I never understood it. And it was then in high school, still being around a lot of white people. I wasn't in fashion either. My lips were too big. My thighs, my butt were too big. I was fat. I was not attractive to them. And so that also hits on you as a female growing up in that, trying to figure out, where your sense of self-worth was. And then, at that age, you do tend to put it on how others view you rather than what you know inside.
That's true. It's true. It is true. That's sad. I mean, sad in the sense that we continue to perpetuate things of division. It really is ridiculous. I mean, and then it's like, where do we even get it from? Where do we, if we don't hear it in the home, if we don't hear it at school, it's not anything that you go out in the world prepared to experience until you do. And then it's like, it sounded like you were like slapped in the face with like, but I am of my people. I remember in Queen, I don't know if you guys saw Alex Haley Roots, the original Alex Haley Roots, but the Queen was like his mother's side, and so that's where Halle Berry made her big opening debut. And I remember a scene in there where she was crying. She ran into a church. She was crying because she had been thrown off by the black people, and white people didn't want her either. And so she could pass, but she ran into the church and she's crying. And all she kept saying was, I is Negra. I is Negra. And the fact that you even have to wear a banner that says that for people to even try to accept you, that's very unfortunate. I mean, I don't have that. I'm kind of like right down the middle of black people. Some people think I'm light skinned. Some people think I'm dark skinned. I am completely 100% chocolate, but I have siblings that are darker than me that call me light skinned. And so I'm like, how am I light skinned when my mama black, my daddy black, we all black? I mean, there's a little Puerto Rican, but they black too. So, I mean, we black, just a couple of us speak Spanish. So, I always thought, we can all say that we're chocolate. You got white chocolate now, you got raspberry, you got different kind of chocolates now. So anybody can say they chocolate. So that's not even a mantle anymore.
Let me claim it.
Right, I'm claiming it. Then we went to the coffees, right? We went from chocolates to the coffees, the cappuccinos, the lattes, the mocha. Like, we have picked so many things to describe our brown skin by, to try to make it a delicacy or more palatable or suitable. But we shouldn't even have to do that.
And I think it matters like who you even ask too. So like being light skinned, if you ask someone dark skinned, to me, I'll tell you right now, everybody light skinned. To me, yeah, like exactly. you got like black, you have them my shade, and then everybody else light skinned. To me, you know what I'm saying? So that was a funny conversation. Me and my wife, she would always say, "Why do you keep saying your sister light skinned, or why you keep saying this person and that person's light skinned?" I'm like, "Cause they is."
And I was like, "They're not light skinned."
I'm like, "They're light skinned." What are you talking? I think Isaiah's light skinned. He'll probably tell me like, "Nah, I'm brown. What did you talk about?"
Okay, for the record, if we had to choose a light skin, dark skin, now I'm not saying that we are. What would you say that you? What would you say that you are? What would you ascribe to? Light or dark?
I would say I'm dark.
Dark skin, Isaiah. Mo,
oh,
light skin.
My Lord. Okay.
There's a new trend right now talk about transracial, and I feel that deep down I have the soul of a dark skinned black woman.
You're a transgender.
No, transracial. It's racial. It's not, has nothing to do with
my
gender.
Lord. Okay. That's new.
Okay, she's dark.
That's a term I learned the other day. The transracial is a lot of people that really feel this way. I feel like at least there I will be accepted, because I can't get accepted by the other people. So.
Rachel Dolezal, we have Rachel Dolezal. She's transracial. We have Kim Kardashian. She's transracial, and her sister Chloe.
Well, she's not real, okay? You guys see the picture of the right hand. Okay, she's not even real. We're not
but
counting
she puts on the stuff to make sure that she looks darker.
No, we have people talking about genuine, authentic melanin, okay? Not fabricated spray paint.
No, but we're talking about transracial. There is a thing that's considered. So Mo, although on her phenotypically she looks light skinned to black people, she's saying she's dark. Okay, that's the team she's going with, and of course you're going with team dark skin.
I'm not. It's not a team, but I'm dark all day.
Okay, so that's the team that he's
Darkness.
on. That's the team that he's on. So for me, I am right down the middle. So I feel like I feel like depending upon the season and the foundation that I wear,
You just go wherever
that I'm dark
whichever's a
skin
good side.
or that I'm light skin. And you know what we talked about, but clearly I'm chocolate. I'm dark. But it's funny because we were talking about like sitcoms growing up when we were younger and how predominantly the wife was always lighter than the husband.
For sure.
And so with the wife being lighter than the husband, that's a perpetuation in the community as well for colorism, and that your husband should be darker or that your wife should be lighter. And both of us here, we both kind of fit that mold a little bit.
And even with those, right? So we'll have like, okay, my favorite show, one of my favorite shows all time, Martin. Right, so we had light skinned Gina, right, and then we had, and generally what they'll do when they put a dark skinned female in any leading, or well, she won't even be leading for the most part. She'll be like a co-lead or whatnot, and she'll always be the one with the attitude, real hyphy, very sassy. Don't got a man. You know what I mean? Always talking loud and you know what I mean. So they always depict dark skinned people as this, right? I even seen someone had posted a video and they talked about the Proud Family. Remember the Proud Family, the cartoon? Same thing. Penny, she was a light skinned. She was, she listened to the parents, all this good stuff. And then when they depicted the darker girl, I don't remember her name, but she was the wild one. She was the one that nobody.
Had a bunch of siblings.
She was chased, had her siblings. They was all bad, looked like baby kids. You know what I'm saying?
She had blonde hair. She was just like
chasing after the dude that didn't want her. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's what they do typically in Hollywood, right?
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about Tyler Perry's movies. I mean, we can almost see the common thread going on in those movies. Why is it always the dark-skinned husband, the dark-skinned suitor is the enemy, is the one that we need to get rid of, and the light-skinned man is the savior? I mean, we can. And what is it about depicting dark-skinned Black women as always in need of saving, as always a victim, as always broken, in need of fixing? Like, I can't get behind it. I'm so happy for the things that he has done to further the Black community. But if we're gonna talk about it, let's be honest here. Let's be real about the storyline that he is portraying, that he's putting out there, that this is what people believe that we are. Yeah. And although he is doing big things in the Black community, but what are we showing other people? What are we showing them that we are?
Exactly. And this just adding to the story, really, that darker Black men are more aggressive or more angry or were worse to women, just all these negative connotations when that's not true. And at the end of the day, like, that comes into our community too, because as a darker man, I mean, DeMar, I already know you've seen this happen. You see another brother who's light skinned in the hood and you're just like, oh, he ain't nothing. Like,
why you gotta put that on me? That thing like man soft. Why you gotta put that on me? That's the media said.
I didn't say you was soft. You said you was soft now.
Pretty boys, you know what I'm saying? But that's the picture though, right? Light skinned men are pretty boys. They don't like to get their hands dirty. And then the dark skinned men, but the dark skinned men are always the ones who you gotta walk around cheesing and showing all of your doggone teeth because everybody thinks you got an attitude and you always, why you so angry? Why you mad?
You don't want to get fight. Like, why?
You feel me?
Why are we always portrayed? We're always the angry ones, or in a movie, we're the mechanic. Like, how many times have you seen a darker Black man as a mechanic? Like, right.
How many mechanics in your movies, Tyler?
Come on now.
Right. How many mechanics y'all scared us on that? Tyler, I didn't say nothing like that. I know that Mr. Brown is he kind of took a stare on that. Okay, but wait. But I know that Daddy's Girls, Idris Elba, he came through. He was a good daddy. So I mean, come on. cut it out.
Yeah.
But so we do see that predominantly, right? And so do we check ourselves, right? How have we participated? I see DeMar keeps saying skinned it. That's one thing. Forgive us for all of you who do not know our vernacular. I know he doesn't sound like this at work, but we do add extra ed on the end of some things. And light skinned did.
Skinned. That's a real word in the Urban Dictionary. Skinned.
Not on everything, but on skinned it. On skinned, we add id on the back of that. That way, you know, we for real.
Right. It's more sincere.
Right. So how have you all participated? How have you guys participated in the light skin, black skin, light skin, dark skin war?
Yeah. Because it literally is a war. Have you participated in any language, right? Has there been any type of language that you use when you describe the other side? Has that come out of your mouth? I know. I just told you, light skin. We see all the memes, right? We see all the memes. If you see a meme with somebody looking real soft or doing something real suspect, we always say, "Oh, he light skinned it."
He acted
real light. Yeah.
I say I have participated in that one. Okay. You know, you see someone, they squinting their eyes in the picture and they got their mouth all like deep and stuff. It's looking a little like
my brother does that all the time, and he's chocolate. This is DeMar's brother, and he does it all the time. That's all he look. His eyes are always like this. So I'm like, well,
I do like. I try not to push the narrative. That is something that I have been very aware of since being a child. So like I've never been a person to put down Black women because I don't see the point in that, even in a joking way, because my mom is dark skinned. So like what that to me just seems counterintuitive. Like if I'm insulting you about something, the same features that my whole family has, then who am I really insulting? So it's that has never been in my vocabulary or my way of speaking. But I have done gone through the little, like the self-hatred type speech, talking about light skin and stuff like that, because, that's another way of trying to fit in, honestly, with, that other side. If I make fun of them, then they'll see me as one of them instead of the. But yeah, I've never been a fan of putting down dark-skinned women or dark-skinned men.
For me, I wouldn't say it was as much of putting down. For me, it's more of joking. If you know me when I was younger, I mean, I got this dark skinness when this dark chocolate. I got this towards high school. Sports did this to me, to be honest. I used to be a nice little caramel color, so I really didn't have to, like you said, Khadijah, I was in the middle. I didn't really have to go either way. I was just in the middle on it. So I could be dark skinned some days, I could be light skinned some days, but when that football hit, your boy turned dark skinned real quick. Then I had to understand, oh man, all right, I see the other side. But even with that, like the reason why I say it's more of joking, because now that I do really see this other side, now I see the negative connotation that's put upon me just for being darker. And they just be like, hey, what's the point? Like, in all honesty, I can really sit back because you kind of know what's going to happen. Someone's either going to portray you as this negative person or they're not. There's really no middle with it when you kind of get darker. In my opinion, I don't really see a whole middle. It's either they're going to portray me as negative or you're not. That's kind of all. You're going to come at me or you're not. That's all it is.
I can dig it.
I was talking to one of my buddies, and he made it really difficult for me growing up, like through high school and whatnot, to hold the idea that all light-skinned brothers was, soft and pretty boys and whatnot, because he was far from a pretty boy, right? He was not a pretty boy. He just did his thing. You know what I'm saying? He was handsome, got, ladies and things like that, but he never really you know, to most of guys, pretty boy is like an attitude, like a mindset, right? So, but he never really had that mindset. He was just a solid dude, you know what I'm saying? And we was talking the other day about just how kids are like really cruel, you know, growing up, you know what I'm saying? And one thing that you said, Mo, when you said that sometimes you do things so that you can kind of fit in and that you're not isolated, that's the same thing that happened on my side. I couldn't wait to see somebody else dark, because I'm at them, so I can redirect all the jokes from me to this person right here. You know what I'm saying? It really didn't happen often because I was always the darkest one in the room. But still, if I see you close to me, look, you see him, y'all. You feel me? And we do that to take the pain off of ourselves, right? But one thing is that I think is extremely important in the conversation that we had was that we all, there's a struggle, and there's always been a struggle for everybody, right? You know, all shades of Black. We were all enslaved, so it wasn't that this person's pain is, you know, better or less than yours. It's just that it was a different experience.
Yeah.
And I think the only way, and I really like us having this conversation because it opens my eyes that to allow me to see that you have been through something just like I've been through something. You know what I mean? Like we've all shared some type of pain. And the problem happens when we say that my pain is the only pain that you should be acknowledging. And we ain't talking about your pain right now. It's just dark skin pain right now. Right. And then and if I don't offer or acknowledge what you've been through, now we have this war. You know what I'm saying? Now we're going through this battle because I only want you to see what I'm dealing with. And I don't acknowledge what you've been through.
Right.
And
so we have. Go ahead, Mo.
That's a really big thing that all over social media is like the discussion between how light-skinned people can't experience racism and all of these other things, and or this just newfound dislike and disrespect towards light-skinned people, especially light-skinned women, because they feel that dark-skinned men gravitate towards us. And instead of us putting that spotlight back on our men, it's something that we're going against each other as women. Yeah. And you know, at the end of the day, like I haven't done anything to you, but you're upset because, you know,
because I chose her.
Because, you know, right. It's so crazy to me. Like we are all fighting we all have one common enemy, yet we choose to sit here and cry over spilled milk rather than continue to press forward and fight over this one common ground here. We as a community have the opportunity to come together, to push things aside and press our issue forward and become better, become the majority that we are. And yet we cannot get past these silly little things that we have in our day-to-day. And it's just like people don't even understand how powerful the Black community is. We have shown that time and time and time again, yet we can't even come together as a whole to continue on fighting what our ancestors had started so long ago.
Yeah, I agree. We had Alicia, and I wanted to highlight her real quick, and we'll get back to Sharice. But Alicia, who's a light-skinned sister, we actually know her personally, and she's saying, unfortunately for her, you know, it's her own race that puts in the category of these complexions, you know, and they think that it makes her life easier. And it's sad that we still have to keep having these conversations. And I get her 100%. It is sad that we still keep having to have these conversations, but just like Sharice pointed out, that this happens in all cultures. And we said that at the top of the hour too, is that there is colorism in all cultures. Even when I was in Brazil, which is predominantly Black, when I was in Brazil, they would tell me all the time, oh, we don't consider ourselves to be Black, white, or anything. We're all Brazilians. Everywhere I went, it was like we're all Brazilians. And there were some that were extremely fair skinned, like Spaniards, and some that were extremely deep skin or deep tone, like African, Central Africa. Okay. But what I did see was that when I was at the mall, the people with the money didn't look like me. See, you can't just go to the mall in Brazil. You got to have some money. And because it's a stratified society, there's classism, most of the people who are in the lower class that don't have the money, they do look like me. And the abandoned children that were the street children, and the children, the infants that were thrown out when they were born into the streets, where these street children have to raise up these infant babies from birth as part of their own community, looked like me. So there are some issues outside of the US. And I hear what Mo is saying too. And I wanted to call back really quickly about when it was my club days back in the day. So I'm gonna date myself. It was my club days, and we would go out as a clique. Me and my homegirls would go out, and we were varying shades, but there was visibly one that was way lighter than all of us. And so we all have similar builds, no big deal. I of course was the funniest, had the best personality, and all those other good things. But but she was always like guys who would try to come holler at us. If I got 10 numbers, she always got 15, or, you know, she always surpassed us on the attention from the men. And we would always just be like, oh, it's because she light skinned. She got 15 extra points because she light skinned. And really, at the end of the day, men were trying to get at all of us. A few more tried to get at her. And so people were walking around with their feelings hurt. And I'm like, calm down, you know, it's not that serious. But we did say that the men liked her more because she was of a lighter skin. And that's something that has stuck with me probably up until maybe about a year or two ago. I had to let that go. I had to get that colorism out of there. For one, I've never been absent of
married. You still tripping?
No. I'm just saying, keeping that as a stereotype, keeping that as a something that's in my head as far as, oh, men are going to flock towards. For one, I've never not had a man. I never not had the attention of men. Again, I'm funny and all those other good things about me. But it is that, you know, and DeMar ain't been short either, even with his I'm dark skinned. And
I never had nobody. I married you as a virgin, but that's not even the point. Go ahead.
Anyway. There's somebody out there for everybody, no matter what anybody's preference is. So I think as far as colorism plays into that, a lot of that is media, a lot of that is social pressure, and not so much in us passing down the, oh, you should get a light-skinned woman, you should get a dark-skinned woman, you should get a this or that. I don't think we pass down anymore those types of mantles to our children. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you guys hear that in your family? That you need to marry somebody that's light or dark? Y'all did hear that?
I heard not so much in my family, but in school. Like when I actually was around more Black people, it was like, oh, you know, trying to get with a light skin so that your kids are light skinned. Everyone, even the white girls, that I want a Black man so that I get, you know, a kid with light skin and curly hair and the green eyes and the features, and it was fetishy. And it's
very much so.
Kind of, it's like, you know, that perpetuates a good life for your child. Them not having a struggle because they're white passing enough, but they also have, you know, a little bit of spice to them. So it's just like, yeah, I definitely heard that in school a lot.
For me, I wouldn't say it was from. I can't say it was directly from my family, but it was kind of like an underlining thing, because in my family, we do have mixed individuals. We do have light skins. We do have dark skins. I mean, we're all over the spectrum, really. And for us, it was kind of the reason why I was kind of underlining, because it was kind of thrown out there that, hey, if you get with someone who's closer to your skin tone, then she may understand your struggle more.
Oh, okay.
Out to me as a man, I'm just like, well, a light-skinned girl's still Black either way. They still understand the struggle either way. So why does her having to be the same color as me really matter?
Yeah, like I don't get that. I remember growing up, they used to say, you know, if she can't use your comb, don't bring her home. I've heard that before from some of my mentors. But in my house, I don't think my mother ever told me that I had to bring a Black man home, or that I had to bring even a dark-skinned Black man home. I know preferential for me, African features all across the board. That's just what I like. The lips, the nose, or whatever. So as you can see, my husband, and I highlighted him last week as well. But this is a beautiful man right here. Okay, so I just want to be clear. But when I met him, he was a pretty boy. Even as a light-skinned man, he was a pretty boy. And to me, that was somebody who always, he went to the barber shop once a week. He had to make sure that everything was meticulous and matched, and everything has to be in place. And to me, that was pretty boy stuff to me. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily light skin or anything.
But let me tell you why. So this is there's a reason why behind this, right? So
is it a light skin, dark skin reason?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Because growing up,
I'll allow it.
And I love that I have a cousin that just posted, our family is very multicultural. So we have all shades and all cultures and whatnot, which is a beautiful thing now, right? But I remember growing up as a child, like, because I was always the butt of the joke, the dark-skinned joke, because you were, you know, compared to the Ashy Larry or the whatever the case may be, I always had to be clean. Like, I had to be clean. I had to be very neat. I had to be shaped up. I had to have hair, all the, you know what I'm saying, just to have a chance to compete, basically. So that kind of just stuck with me as a child. Not to mention, you know what I'm saying, I do come from a family of fly individuals, pedestrians, where we just kind of just, you know, keep it real, you know, fly anyway. But at the same time, it was very intentional because I felt like that I needed those extra points, you know, because all the light-skinned brothers, they can come in with, I mean, beat up shoes, turned over frog heads, and, you know, everything, outfits looking cookies, and it didn't even matter. They were still being chosen. I'm like, bro, I ain't even got a lineup. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? So it was very intentional as a child, and it just kind of stuck with me. So that is the reason why.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
Okay.
I would never even think about that. That would never even cross my mind, but that makes sense, you know, like just thinking about the people that I've known and the dark-skinned men that I have known in my life that have always have taken that extra step to make sure that they looked presentable, that they were clean, that they were always crisp. They were, you know, fresh J's, that, you know, like everything, made sure that there was no scuffs, nothing, no dirt, nowhere. And I never even thought about the fact that they felt like they had to come in at a certain level just to be on a level playing field. So that's a very good point.
For me, to be completely honest, from coming from a family, like my grandfather, he's not light-skinned. I would say he's around the little bit darker caramel color complexion, if you want to compare it to something. But he's a gentleman. So he carried himself, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think of the word, but he carried himself.
Playalistic.
Exactly. Well, my grandpa will go to the store wearing a suit. That's just how he was. He was old school like that. And that was it. And getting a haircut every week, that was my mother ingrained that in me as well. Take care of myself.
Yeah.
When I'm stepping out, make sure my shoes are clean. I mean, you guys know me to this day. I don't wear a beat up pair of shoes. It doesn't matter if it's my gym shoes or my church shoes or my J's. They're crisp, brand new.
Right.
And that's what was ingrained in me. But what really made me learn why that was ingrained, and what brings it back to colorism, is because I am of that darker skin color. Because if I walk out there with my hairline messed up, I'm gonna get roasted first, or our counterparts are automatically going to think that, oh, well, I don't have a job, or I'm homeless, or I'm this or that, just off of a haircut. I mean, that's something that small. And what made me really understand is when I grew out my locks, the first thing my mother told me was, if you want to grow these, I need you to keep them as clean and crisp as possible every single time. Because her fear was, she didn't want to see me as one of those boys on the news that got arrested or got killed just because of my hair.
Wow.
That's major, right? As dark men, super major.
Super major. Well,
with the police and in a corporate office.
And in a corporate office. I even have managers tell me with my locks, I've been growing them for over 4 years now. And they would even tell me, just because the type of employee I'm, they'll be straight up and they'll say, hey, you keep your hair so clean, so crisp. And man, I could have just washed it and didn't do it in maybe 2 months. And they still think it's still clean or crisp compared to the others in my community who may have locks as well, who are freeform, exactly. And it's sad that difference really has to do with the color. But if you see our counterparts, and I'm talking about our white counterparts with locks, they're messy. Like, if I'm being 100, they're completely messy, and they'll still get the top type of jobs, or they'll still get this, or they'll still get that. Or if you see our light skin counterparts with locks as well, if you have, like, to be 100, if you want to bring it down to the hair, if you have light skin hair, it's not going to get as crisp of lock as a darker brother. It's just not.
I didn't get light skin hair.
You didn't get light skin hair, and I was telling DeMar about that because I actually used to do Monique's hair when she was younger, and very 4C. If it could be 4D, EF, and very dense, she has beautiful, beautiful hair. I mean, beautiful hair. It's so thick you can do anything with it. It's resilient. She has beautiful hair. But I remember when I first did your hair, and an old Southern adage came back to me, what people used to say when children were light-skinned, if they didn't have fine hair or curly hair, it was called being have a waste of light skin. Because what is the use of having the light skin? So what's the use of having the light skin and the light features if you cannot pass? And so Alicia just asked, by the way, I wanted to highlight what she said earlier. Alicia, who married a dark-skinned man, said that she wanted to marry a dark-skinned man because she did not want her children to go through the things that she went through as being bullied, or people constantly asking her, is she Mexican or something else other than black, because her mama black and her daddy black. But she just asked, what is light skin hair? All right. So what light skin hair would be considered, or what people would consider to be light skin hair, would be curly hair, thinner hair, fine hair, even straighter hair. So basically the kind of hair that you have, Alicia, and I know why she's asking that question, so that we can give some type of definition, but it's basically the type of hair that Alicia has, who also has beautiful hair, right? Because hair is beautiful if you comb it. If you don't do nothing with it, even if it's locked up and you freeforming, you do something with it, brother. Like, even a freeform, it can be beautiful too, So I think that when we talk about distinction, she said, dang, I never knew. but
she had privilege. God.
She has beautiful hair. But to close up this conversation, this is going to continue to be an ongoing conversation, maybe not necessarily on the exchange, but in the Black community, we have to get to the bottom of this. We have to look this snake in the eye, and we have to cut off its head, because it is destructive to the Black, melanated, more Hebrew, Asiatic Black. I'm trying to figure out all the terms. The community.
Black.
The community.
Black.
Okay. Black is not a race. There's one race. There's one race that is the human race, and we come in different variations of melanation, and that's just the bottom line of it. And we have to get over separating ourselves out when we don't have nobody to lose.
Yeah. Just and closing remark, you have mentioned, you was like, you said, we don't even know, or people don't even know like the value and the strength, but there are some people that do know the value and the strength of melanated people. And this is why we've used, or folks have used, this certain tool that has lasted long after. Even in the Bible, it talks about, as a group of one, if we are together, look at the things you can do, right? So and there's people that know that, and they've used these different tools to divide us so that we cannot be stronger together, because we've seen it. Like, this, it's not that we've never done this. Like, we have Black communities that were thriving and that do thrive, you know what I mean, that were destroyed and whatnot, but people know. There's some people that definitely do know, right? So this conversation is very important because, for one, we bring awareness to each other's pain. And I can recognize that you've been through something just like I've been through something, and mine is not as important as yours, right? And vice versa. And in that, I can look out and I can support you now. right? And we can move forward, right?
Right. And we are going to close out. We're going to do a shout out. Zay's going to do a shout out. Alicia said she was glad that we changed up the shirts because she was showing that the melanin shirt. Babe, show them this shirt real quick because this shirt, I need you to make sure you in the camera. Lily, we got you right here on the E.
Right here.
This is the original design. We make sure we got, matter of fact, you may even be this A. Y'all don't think you this light, but we got them this light to this blue black. So it's all the melanin all the way across the board. We're all in there. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Zay.
So before I go into the shout out, I do just want to touch on what Demar and Khadijah was saying. It really starts with us to stop this division. With this whole colorism, it's seen in Hollywood, it's seen from our counterparts. We're getting hit by every side. Why hit each other? Right. Let's really think about that. Why hit each other? Let's stop that and actually come together as a community and stop this division, because then we would really be able to progress and move forward. Right. But from there, shout outs, I want to shout out any business that is out there. Really put your business in the comments. We want to put you guys up on the screen, really, if we can, and shout you guys out. I also want to shout out my business. I'm a life insurance agent. I'm with Holmes Financial Services. So if you have any questions regarding life insurance, annuities, or any financial services, period, feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my information in the comments as well. I also want to, excuse me. I also want to bring up a point really quickly. Sorry, I'm bringing it up on my notes.
Brother got notes. That's real life.
I'd also like to let the people know that anyone renting in California, there's 2 bills recently introduced concerning a possible extension of the COVID-19 Tenant Relief Act of 2020. So if you or someone you know could benefit from the rent relief, please comment down below, and we'll have a couple people that can provide some further information. One person who is really leading this, her name is Talitha Floyd. She's a close family friend of ours. And if you go to her page, Talitha Floyd on Facebook, you'll be able to click the link, and that will take you to all the information that you need to know and be able to add your name to those bills that are trying to be passed.
This is a chance to have your opinions heard and your concerns met face to face. So definitely, if that is something that would affect you or someone you know, definitely make sure that you get that information.
That's right.
Ooh. And I have one other or two other businesses really quick. So we do have this part of the segment where we want to make sure that we promote business, especially Black business, right? But this is a life coach, a phenomenal life coach named Sharice.
She's also in the comments.
She's also been in the comments, Sharice Flintoil. Her website is www.butterflylifecoach.net. So that's www.butterflylifecoach.net. Check her out. She has some amazing tips, advice, wisdom for you to get your life together, to get your life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then what's the last one? Nope, that's it. You guys know where to get us at. You guys know to get us at www.kdgrier.myshopify.com. You can check out the Melanated Love shirts, the Melanin shirts, as well as the Love Power shirts. And we will definitely continue. We're putting up a new shirt next week, as well as I have a show coming out myself starting next week. It's called Unapologetic. Period. I am unapologetic. Y'all already know. So we're gonna be talking about some good stuff, some of the stuff we can't get into on this show. You guys know I'm gonna be dicey, a little bit extra. It's not gonna be a curse-free zone. So for those of you who may be a little squeamish, it will not be a curse-free zone. Now I may not be doing cursing, but some of my hosts may have something a little spicy to say. So tune in for that. We'll let you know when we start that show, and it's gonna be fire, y'all. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you all for joining us this evening. And make sure that you like, subscribe, share, and continue to comment on our videos.
Yes.
We love y'all.
Love you.
Peace.
Peace.